Orgasms are not a slam dunk for everyone. So many women ask, are multiples even possible? What's the difference between a clitoral, vaginal, and blended orgasm? Are nipple orgasms even a thing? Yes, they are, but that's a whole other video, so stay tuned for that. One of the most baffling conundrums that some women face when it comes to the big O is why they can have them easily by themselves, but not with a partner. Sharing orgasmic pleasure with a partner can be a wildly erotic experience, and while orgasms are not the end-all be-all of sex, it can be really puzzling and frustrating if they only appear for an audience of you, yourself, and you. Taking a deeper dive into the psyche of a woman can reveal several reasons why she may struggle to achieve an orgasm with a partner, but has no problem when she is loving herself and by herself. Number 1, she has trust issues. It's not always easy to trust people, even when you might want to. It takes time to get to know someone, and trust takes time to develop. Consistency lends itself well to safety, and if a woman is unsure of where she stands with a partner, or does not have enough information about her partner to know if their walk matches their talk, it may make it difficult to lean in, or rather to relax. And rightfully so. If a woman's been hurt in the past, betrayed, deceived, old wounds may interrupt her ability to trust freely. Introducing another person into her sexual pleasure zone is a risk, physically and sexually, and emotionally. And when trust is in question, a woman's body may not be able to fully relax and set down its guard. Number 2, she struggles with intimacy. For some women, intimacy is easy. They revel in it. They're open to other people and they seek intimacy out. But for some women, it can feel really engulfing, suffocating, too vulnerable, or leave a woman feeling out of control. Sharing any aspect of ourselves is no easy feat, and allowing herself to be fully seen, literally and metaphorically, can feel too overwhelming for some women, thwarting her ability to climax. And a woman who's holding back remains in a state of self-protection, and that is often an impediment to orgasmic levels of excitement. Number 3, she likes to be in control. When a woman struggles with control, what she's really wrestling with is difficulty in surrendering. Now, perhaps she's felt powerless in the past or has been marginalized in some way. Growing up in an environment where control meant survival and surrender could mean danger or hurt can really ingrain a fear of surrendering that makes it impossible to let go with a partner. In order to have an orgasm, a person must be willing to surrender to the contractions, to the emotions, to the pleasure. It may be easy to do when she's by herself, because without the presence of another person, it's easy to feel in control. A woman knows herself. She knows how she moves, she knows what she likes, and so on. When you add another person into the mix, there are so many more unknown variables, and that can light up an internal need to stay alert and in control for many women. Number 4, either the woman or her partner lacks knowledge about sexual skills. Let's face it, sometimes it's just about technique. So if either partner lacks sufficient knowledge of sexual skills or the sexual response system, or what they like, it can be really, really difficult to get to the big O. And sexual naivete is nothing to be ashamed of. No one is a born sexpert. So if you feel unsure about what you like, or have a partner who's not as clear about the ins and outs of your sexual roadmap, this is an easy fix, and can be a fun and hot mission of sexploration together. Every single body is different, and unfortunately, accurate sex education is not always available. And sometimes people get rigid ideas in their mind about what is supposed to feel good with a partner, and then they stop exploring what actually works for them. So, bottom line, if you're not sure, ask. And if they're not sure, educate. Number 5, she has shame about sex. Unless humiliation is her thing, and listen, if it is, there is nothing wrong with that. But unless humiliation is her thing, shame is lethal to the hope of an orgasm. Sex is nothing to be ashamed of. Everyone has a relationship to sexuality and is born from it. Nonetheless, many people, especially women, receive messages throughout their lives that sex is shameful, or looking sexy is shameful, or they should be ashamed for wanting to have sex. These messages can make it very difficult for women to connect with their sexuality in a healthy way, for fear of being perceived as bad or dirty, as they often are made to feel by people around them. Slut shaming and victim blaming sully women's sexuality in a very public way, and frequently shame can become ingrained in a woman's sexual identity. When shame is too much a part of the conversation, it can be really challenging for a woman to achieve an orgasm alone, and shame about sex can become even more exacerbated when there's another person in the equation. One more set of eyes can feel like 1,000 when someone is in a shame burrow, and it can set off a pernicious fight, flight, or freeze response that negates the likelihood of an orgasm with a partner. Number 6, the sex is not hot. Spoiler alert, being adequately turned on is a key element of reaching an orgasm. In this case, being aroused might mean an elaborate fantasy scenario, or just being able to hold in your mind the reality of you and your partner's sexiness in the present moment. But if a woman is, running through her to-do list, or showing up to please her partner, substituting sex for her cardio that day, or in more extreme cases, dissociating, it may be really challenging for her to reach orgasmic levels of pleasure. Sex that is perfunctory or mechanical is not hot and can leave a woman feeling without enough sexual vitality to lubricate, let alone have an orgasm. Which brings us to number 7. It's a performance. As a culture, there has been far too much importance placed on penetrative sex and orgasms. Orgasms are great, no doubt, but over time, there has been way too much meaning placed on them. Meaning about someone's worth in the bedroom and as a person. Sexual prowess has been co-opted by mainstream culture to be an indication of whether or not someone is good enough. People have placed an inordinate amount of pressure on women to come, as if their male partner's whole identity depends on it. Now, this is not an always explicit conversation, but it seeps into our collective psyche and has led many women to perfect their performance when it comes to orgasms. The problem with this strategy is that male partners often feel great without merit, and then the orgasm gap between men and women widens. So when a woman has a history of performative sex and does not get real with her partners about what she wants or really needs in order to come, she's teaching them to ignore her because she is ignoring and subjugating herself. And this can lead to a long-standing pattern of shutting down and not expecting pleasure, which can make having an orgasm with a partner next to impossible. Number 8, ineffective communication. When a woman or her partner are unable or unwilling to communicate about their needs, it is very challenging to set the stage for an orgasm. Sure, sometimes it can feel awkward to talk about sex. You may not want to hurt your partner's feelings. Maybe that seems kind, but it will not help you light the fire you need to get over the orgasm hump. And however well-intentioned, it's just not honest. So there's that. Each person is responsible for their own orgasm, and talking about it is sometimes the best way to bring you closer to having an orgasm and closer to each other. Number 9, she has a history of trauma. When someone has experienced trauma, be it physical, emotional, or sexual, the after effects can be brief or long-lasting. Unaddressed trauma can result in some of the other concerns that I already discussed above, like difficulties with vulnerability, trust, surrender, and intimacy, especially if the trauma was sexual or related to a betrayal. This unresolved trauma can lead to interpersonal dissociation, fear, and low self-esteem, all of which can impede an orgasm. Many women with a history of trauma find themselves disconnected from their bodies, which can also make it really difficult to fully experience the pleasure they feel during sex. Intense sensations, even those that are pleasurable, can lead to further disembodiment and a disconnection from orgasmic potential. Number 10, she has anxiety about her body. A poor self-image or a poor body image can get in the way of any woman's sexual experience with a partner. Concerns about how she looks, whether real or perceived flaws are visible, can be extremely loud inside the mind of a woman when she's alone, and even louder in the presence of another person. If she's flying solo in her sexy time, negative thoughts or inner critiques may not be as big of a distraction, making it easier for her to relax and surrender into the pleasure of an orgasm. But with a partner, very challenging to quiet that voice. Okay, so if you're a woman watching this and it's been a challenge for you to orgasm with a partner, you are not alone. There are many, many ways to help you get in touch with your sexuality in a different way. Working with a sex therapist or a sexual health coach can be a great start to helping you understand the intricacies of your mind and body connection, and to help provide you with tools that let your orgasmic potential flow with or without a partner.